Welcome to my channel, States of Heart, where real stories of courage, justice, and humanity come to life. Today's story is one of truth versus arrogance, of standing your ground even when everyone around you tells you to back down. This isn't a story about war or battlefields. It's about a quiet neighborhood, a broken fence, and one person's decision to fight for what's right. The sun was just beginning to rise over Maplewood Estates, that picture-perfect suburban neighborhood where lawns were trimmed like carpets and fences stood tall like lines of defense. Mark was sipping his morning coffee on his porch, enjoying a rare peaceful moment before heading to work. He'd worked years to afford this house. It wasn't a mansion, but it was his home. Every fence post, every brick, every inch of it had been built with his own hands. But peace has a funny way of shattering when arrogance drives in. That morning, the sound of screeching tires sliced through the calm. A silver sports car spun around the corner too fast, music blaring, the driver laughing, and then crash. Wood splintered. Dust flew. Mark's fence, the one he had built last summer, was now a pile of broken boards. Mark jumped up, heart pounding. He ran toward the street, expecting to see a shaken driver, maybe even an apology. Instead, he saw Karen's son, Tyler, stepping out of the car with a smirk. Tyler, 20 years old, the self-proclaimed king of the HOA president's family. Everyone in the neighborhood knew his mother, Karen, the woman who treated the entire community like her personal kingdom. Mark took a deep breath. "Are you okay?" he asked, trying to stay calm. Tyler shrugged, kicking a piece of the broken fence. "Yeah, I'm fine. Your fence was too close to the road anyway." Mark frowned. "Excuse me? You just crashed into my property," Tyler scoffed. "Dude, if your fence wasn't sticking out like that, this wouldn't have happened. I'll tell my mom to file a report. She's on the HOA board. You'll probably have to move it back anyway." Mark couldn't believe his ears. "Move it back? You're the one who..." But before he could finish, Tyler was already on the phone. "Yeah, Mom? I told you that guy's fence was a problem. Yeah, I hit it. He'll pay for the damage." Mark clenched his fists, trying to contain his anger. The arrogance was unbelievable. 10 minutes later, Karen herself stormed out of her house, sunglasses, clipboard, and attitude. "Oh my goodness, Tyler. Are you all right?" she cried dramatically, looking at the car, not her son. "Mark, this is why we told you your fence was non-compliant with HOA standards. It's too close to the sidewalk." Mark looked around. Every neighbor had stopped to watch, phones in hand, whispers spreading like wildfire. "Karen," Mark said calmly, "the fence was approved. I have the paperwork. Your son was speeding." Karen crossed her arms. "That fence was a safety hazard. My son could have been seriously injured because of your negligence." Mark's jaw tightened. "Your son destroyed my fence, Karen." "I think that's pretty clear," she smirked. "Oh, don't worry. We'll let the police decide who's responsible." Minutes later, the flashing red and blue lights appeared. 2 officers stepped out, their expressions unreadable. Karen wasted no time. She ran to them, voice trembling with fake distress. "Officers, thank goodness you're here. This man's fence is out of code. My son hit it and nearly died. I demand he be cited." The officers turned to Mark. "Sir, can we see your ID and the property line documents?" Mark handed them over silently, still shocked by Karen's audacity. He explained how Tyler had been speeding, how the fence had been inspected and approved by the HOA the previous year. While they checked the paperwork, Karen whispered something to Tyler, both of them laughing. Then one of the officers called out, "Ma'am, your son's car registration, please?" Tyler rolled his eyes. "Yeah, about that. It's at home. But you can trust me, it's registered." The officer's expression hardened. "Sir, please step aside." They ran his plate number. Moments later, the radio crackled, and everything changed. "Dispatch to Unit 42, that vehicle shows expired registration and 2 unpaid speeding tickets." Karen's smile froze. Mark looked at her, stunned. The officer turned to Tyler. "Sir, you're driving an unregistered vehicle with outstanding citations. Step away from the car." Karen jumped in. Excuse me? This is ridiculous. He's my son. You can't, but the officer cut her off. Ma'am, step back. We're towing the vehicle. The tow truck arrived within minutes. As they hooked Tyler's shiny sports car, the same one he had bragged about every day, the color drained from his face. Karen pleaded, "Wait. You can't tow it? He has class in an hour." The officer handed Mark his documents back. "Sir, your fence placement is fully compliant. You're not at fault here." Mark exhaled slowly. Justice, quiet, calm, and poetic, had arrived. Karen glared at him. "You think this is over, Mark? I'll bring this up at the next HOA meeting." Mark smiled faintly. "Please do. Maybe next time we can discuss driving lessons for Tyler." The next week, the entire neighborhood buzzed with the story. For once, the queen of the HOA had been humbled. People who once avoided eye contact with Mark now stopped to shake his hand, whispering things like, "Good for you," and "It's about time someone stood up to her." But Mark didn't gloat. He just rebuilt his fence, stronger this time. As he hammered the last nail, he heard footsteps behind him. It was Karen. No sunglasses, no clipboard, just silence. She cleared her throat. "Mark, about the other day." He turned, not angry, just tired. "Yeah," she sighed. "The HOA reviewed your paperwork. You were right. The fence was compliant." Mark nodded. "I know." She hesitated. "And Tyler? He's grounded. His father wasn't happy." Mark almost smiled. "Good. Maybe he'll learn something." Karen looked at the rebuilt fence, perfectly aligned, solid, and standing tall. "You know," she said quietly, "you're good with your hands. Maybe you could help me fix our mailbox next week." Mark chuckled softly. "Karen, I think I'll pass. I've had enough HOA construction for a while." She gave a small, embarrassed laugh and walked away, a little less proud, a little more human. Weeks later, Mark received a letter from the city's property division. It confirmed that his fence was within legal boundaries and included an apology for the confusion caused by unverified HOA complaints. He pinned it on his wall, a small piece of paper that meant peace of mind. And as for Tyler, the neighbors said he'd been seen mowing lawns to pay off his towing fees. No more speeding. No more blaring music. Sometimes, justice doesn't roar. It hums quietly through the sound of a lawnmower and the creak of a new fence. Mark smiled every time. He looked out at that fence, not because it kept people out, but because it reminded him that sometimes doing the right thing is enough to bring the wrong people to their senses. Respect is earned, not demanded. Power and pride might build fences between people, but truth and a little patience always tears them down. This was States of Heart, where real moments of humanity, courage, and justice come alive. If you believe in standing up for what's right, no matter how small the battle, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every heart has a story, and every story deserves to be heard.